Hi, welcome to my channel, Hexagon Quilts. In this episode we're going to look at English paper piecing a 1-inch flower. This 1-inch flower. I'll show how to attach the papers to the fabric to the papers and attach the center so that it's nice. Also have a look at some of my other hexagon flowers that I've put together. 1/2-inch hexagon flowers, which are very cute, and also a giant hexagon quilt. I've only done the top yet. I haven't taken the papers out, so we'll have a look at that. And also at the end we'll have a look at the beach yesterday, Bondi Beach. It was so windy. I just about blew up the street. It was so windy all night too. It's been raining all day today. So good time to stay inside and sew. Let's see how we go. Looking at hexagon constructions, this is how I do my flowers, and this is all the stuff that you need to do to start. I use photocopying paper, nice pliable photocopy paper, and a 1-inch hexagon viscous punch. This is the main one that I use for my 1-inch hexagons. It is perfect. This is how it looks in the packet. John has cut millions of papers for me. This is just a few. To begin with, I use a part of a ruler that I found. This is very handy because it's got a nice small straight edge that I can cut with my rotary cutter. Cut the fabrics. Pins, and I use either these lovely little plastic pegs, or this works just as well. It's just a little clip. So holds everything together and it's not too strong that it makes marks on the fabric. Pins, I like a nice thin sharp needle. Nothing in particular, but just a nice thin sharp needle with an eye that I can see. And I use Gutermans usually for everything, but I find it just the easiest for me to sew with, and I get it when it's on sale because it's rather expensive. 100% cotton, and it's made in Greece. I have a nice selection of, well, I have 3 viscous. This is for the 1-inch, and this is for the 1/2-inch hexagons, which I also make, and I'm very fond of that too. I have a lot of plastic templates, fun templates. I got this from the Quilters Guild one year. It even came as a pull for my bag. This is my favourite hexagon of all time. It's 1-inch. Perfect. I cut all my fabrics from this with the rotary cutter. I cut 2.5-inch strips, and then just put this on top and cut with a rotary cutter, about 4 or 5 layers at a time. And this has a 3/8 inch seam allowance, which is perfect for construction. To begin with, I have my paper and my fabric, and I tack around each one. I just start with a knot, tack around the hexagon, and to make a flower you need 6 petals, the same or different depending on what sort of a flower you're making. I prefer this construction method. It's a snake. To hem around one hexagon takes me 58 seconds. I timed it once just to see how fast I could go or how long it took. After this, the center is added and I start here. I start at this edge and I whip stitch around, starting here, whip stitch all around. When I get to here, I just whip stitch those together and I have a finished flower. It's good to have a selection of templates, whether they're 1 inch or whichever size that you're choosing to do. I find, but in case I lose it or something, these are fab scissors that my friend Judith got me for left-handed sewers. I also use them for knitting, but they're perfect. Very sharp. Made by Tim Holtz. Hexagons come in all little packets of all different sizes. So really there is, you know, so much to choose from. When I've finished the quilt, this is the pearl cottons that I use for hand quilting. I prefer the pearl cotton because it's a nice thick size. Didn't come from the book depository. That's a bookmark that I've round my cotton on. But yeah, that's the quilting thread that I always use. Constructing a hexagon flower, a 1 inch hexagon flower. A few samples. I like my hexagons, my flowers with a similar center or the same fabric center. I think they're just beautiful. And these fabrics, because I collect novelty prints, they're so beautiful, and there's so many to choose from. As I mentioned before, we start with a snake, and this is how I go about making my, I have a nice little pile of bees that I'm making a bee quilt. I take my fabric that I've cut with my beautiful template. See there? With a 3/8 inch hexagon, with a 3/8 inch hem. I turn it and make sure all my bees are on the paper. And then I attach the 2 pieces together. I have my threaded yarn, ready, threaded cotton ready to go. I did have. Got done with it. tie a knot, just an ordinary knot at the end. Then I take my, and I just overlap and start. I usually only put one piece to a nice corner and put my needle into the corner to secure nicely. One stitch in the middle, come to the corner, a nice, what I call a hospital quilt corner, one stitch in the middle. At this point I take my clip out, one stitch in the corner, one stitch in the middle, nearly there. This is very therapeutic too. I mean, this is why I have squillions of pre-made hexagons, because I just got carried away and just made so many from all these beautiful fabrics. When I come to the last corner, which is now, I just do a double stitch. I don't do a knot or anything, and take the needle out, and that's it. It is very neat, very easy to take out. I just turn it over, take the knot off, just cut the knot and just pull the thread. And that's one. When I have two, I'll do one more. I found that I really love bees, so I would make a bee quilt, but I have started about 5 bee quilts. So this is not the only method of attaching papers to fabrics, but it is the fastest that I've found. As I mentioned, I can do a hexagon, 1-inch hexagon in 58 seconds. So that's pretty wild. It doesn't have to be a matching coloured thread for the tacking. Just so long as it keeps it all together. As you see, I have 2 colours, black and white, and either works. And then I find I have got a large container of coloured threads that my friend gave me. If you don't have enough thread at the end, which happened here, I just do and then straighten it out. It is still perfect. Now that I have 2, the next step is connecting them together to make the snake. How do we want our bees? I think that's really nice. So I fold it over, match them up, put my peg on the side furthest from where I'm going to start. I'll start there, thread up my needle. I have another pair of scissors that I love. I love these spring-loaded scissors, Matilda's own. I like these also. They're perfect. Because my knuckles have a bit of arthritis in them, I find anything that helps is good. So I just use one layer of thread for the whipping because this thread is very strong, not in the end. And now take a stitch. Then I will take another stitch right on the edge. First one is about 1/8 of an inch in. Very small whip stitches all together. And when you do the whip stitches, you can feel with the needle the edge of the paper, which is like a couple of threads that you sew into just off the paper. So really, I rarely sew into the paper. I find whip stitching is very nice, neat stitch. And the sound of the thread going through the fabric, sometimes touching the paper, is a very nice send sound, I find. Listen to it. Very rhythmic and continuous. When you come to the end, I just take a stitch right on the end and then I go back 3 stitches. My own personal way of stitching. Cut it, and I trim the other end where the and we have them together. Beautiful seam that you can't see where I've sewn. I will continue to make 4 more. Sew them together. I don't take the papers out until I have got one whole hexagon enclosed. Otherwise, it is too floppy to sew. So the paper gives stability. I iron it, and then I take the paper out. If I'm going to take the papers out, sometimes I leave them in. I hope this is interesting. I love hexagon construction. We will continue. I make 3 different size hexagon flowers, 1 inch, 1/2 inch and 3/8, mainly 1 inch and 1/2 inch. These are the 1/2 inch hexagons. They start off as cut fabric, then the papers that I cut with the little fiscus, then attached to paper or tacked and ready to go. Nice little bags. So these are the flowers of the 1/2 inch hexagon flowers, the petals. I've made quite a few of these. Nice little piles of them. All different colours, all my favourite colours. This is such an addictive thing to do. These beautiful little flowers. all 1/2 inch, and they feel like playing cards somehow. I collect novelty prints, as I've said, and the print has to fit inside the plastic template so that the skeleton ones are perfect. You can see exactly how the picture will fit. I even like the centers to be the same print as my outside flowers. You can see. See if it'll focus. There we are, tiny whip stitches. I haven't taken the center papers out of these because they're so small. And then I iron them when I've got the flower constructed. For these flowers, that's a really cute one. So that is one layer of the petals. Then I do an extra layer, which makes an outside layer of petals, and they look like this. That's the back. I haven't taken the papers out. These are very small hexagons, and I just leave the papers in mainly till I've finished the project. They're just so lovely. And when I find a theme, like these bees, isn't that beautiful? And clocks. I love clocks. It's just a lovely, lovely flower. On the back. Very small prints, novelty prints. I love black and white. And low volume writing. These ones have special words on them. Cooking, cream and sugar, vanilla, peaches, diced, beetles. I like a neat back too. Novelty prints are so fun to use. All my collection of prints is mainly novelty prints. Poo. So that's the small 1/2 inch hexagons, which I make into a quilt. I join them together, and sometimes with a path. On the other hand, in the opposite direction, is the giant hexagons. These are 5 inch hexagons. I like the 5 inch because it showcases the prints. The bigger prints, I know the stripes are doing weird things to the camera, but I love this Kaffe Fassett stripes. I think it's Brendan's. Can't remember what it's called, but I have a lot of it. It's beautiful. These are all facets except for the center, which is owls and clocks. The hexagons on this are big. Some are whole and some I've cut so that they form a pattern, which I particularly like, and it makes that design. So that's the two extremes that I go to. big and tiny. Oh, I forgot to mention, this is the smallest hexagon flower that I have ever made. It's 1/4 of an inch. 1/4 of an inch. It's tinsy wincy. On the back, it's 1/2 inch. Little stitches, only takes a few stitches to sew it together. But when it's on the, that's compared to a bigger hexagon, it is tinsy wincy. How cute is that? So now I'm going to join the center hexagon to the petals. Take the snake and
yeah,
I'll put it like this.
yeah.
And my thread, I use about 1 meter of thread. I know it's a long thread, but that's what I use, so I don't have to stop and start. So we'll sew around the center. Takes a few minutes. Just hold the other end of the snake so it doesn't fly around. Just catching the top threads. I can feel the paper underneath. It's pretty close, but it's firm enough to stay together for years. Coming to the corner. Got a knot. Into the corner, do a couple of stitches just there, Then turn it and bend this one so they've got a straight line, and with this little peg just hold it all together. A couple of stitches, the knot again, same knot. Doesn't want to come undone, so I will leave that and take some stitches. There it is. Okay, continuing on, trim those off. Keep going. I usually get about 17 stitches to the inch. I don't know why my thread wants to keep knotting. It's not because of the length, because this is the length I always use. Coming to the edge. It's pouring rain. It's been pouring for days. You can hear the rain. I'm lucky because John's being the tripod today. Just undo that so I don't get a knot. There we go. That's the end of that one. So just continue round till all the edges are done. When I get to here, I just go here and then there, and I'll show you when I've finished. So we're coming to the last side of the hexagon of the center piece. Two stitches in the corner. My fingers have arthritis and I've got a frozen finger. Now this is the last join. So easy to do. I fold it so that it's like this. Not a big crease, just a small crease, and I can hold it all in my fingers, matching the ends. Take a couple of stitches in the corner. Continue on. Then it will be a complete flower. This is probably why they call this whip stitch, because it makes this sound. It's neat, holds everything together really firmly. And there we are, a finished flower. 2 stitches on the end, and I'll go back 2 stitches just to make sure. And there we have it, a 1-inch hexagon flower. This is English paper piecing, As I've said, paper is attached, the fabric is attached to the paper. It's a very precise method of joining hexagons together and other shapes. Gives very crisp points.